What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in to another edition of the On the Ball podcast. Glad you could stop on through on a Tuesday night as we discuss obviously the NBA Finals, which are going to start in 2 days. We'll talk about the big news that happened today up in New York with the Knicks organization, and then we're going to talk little gaming of sorts at the end. With the Madden series and the new edition that's coming out this year. So hopefully you guys are ready to chat it up down in the comments. We definitely want to see you guys in there tonight. But with that, Brett, so co-host, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Definitely excited to talk some sports.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started with the big news of the day. Tom Thibodeau was relieved of his duties. I love how they put that. Say he was fired. Like, come on. Relieved of his duties from the New York Knicks. I guess the first question, fair or foul with the move?
I mean, can I just go with somewhere in the middle? Right? Because on one hand, like, Thibs did bring this team to the Eastern Conference Finals, which is a little bit of an overachievement. Like, this team feels like it overachieved. But on the same regard, like, you can see, like, even during this run where, like, the Knicks, you feel like they could be so much better if they improved. Mainly on the offensive side of the ball, there's just a lot of stagnation and standing around.
Mm-hmm.
I think it feels a little like part of it does feel a little unjust because of what he did, but at the same time, like, I get it. We've been talking about how the Knicks could be better if they got more guys involved, just a lot more off-ball action, a lot of more player movement, screening, cutting. So I think there's room for improvement. The risk I think you're taking here mainly with this one is Thibs has always been a good defensive-minded coach, and I thought he got just probably the most you're going to get out of, like, a Jalen Brunson and Cat defense. So I guess they got to ask themselves if whoever they're bringing in is if the inevitable defensive regression is, justified by whatever offensive uptick that might happen. So was it justified? I think it kind of was. Also, the reluctance to just play the bench until like game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals is wild.
Yeah. No, Anthony, what's going on, Anthony? So he says, skip. No, we're not going to skip the Zion drama or the Diggs drama. We can touch on that. I was just talking about a few things we're going to talk about. And Anthony also said, need a bench, stop overplaying the players. And look, he had a very successful run in New York. I think his teams under him for the 5 years played like 57% winning percentage. That's pretty good. Led them to the playoffs 4 of the 5 years, which is also pretty good. But the way that this season went, even the way that last season went, you lose to the same team twice in the Pacers, a team that's kind of a rival to the Knicks, with all the noise about his rotations and everything like that. I do think it was inevitable that he was going to be released. Well, relieved of duty, sorry.
I really thought that they weren't gonna like completely cut him. I thought they were just gonna do the old, "Yo, dog, we're gonna move you to the front office, all right?"
Yeah.
Like I really thought that I didn't expect them to just straight up cut him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I kind of feel like that's the part I disagree with because obviously like Thibs is a great culture setter, and seems like somebody you'd want to keep around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it to completely cut him, I thought it was pretty wild. But if it were me, unless there were like more underlying issues with everybody else I didn't know about, I thought they would have at least been like, yeah, here's your new front office job.
I mean, they tried that with Phil Jackson, right?
Oh, in New York?
Yeah. Didn't he? No, he didn't. He never coached it, but he went front office up there,
Oh yeah, but
and that was kind of a disaster.
you don't
So
need to make Tom Thibodeau the GM like Phil Jackson.
true. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's this overwhelming thought that like the game is passed Thibodeau by. He's too old and all this. He's not modern enough. So I don't know if the Knicks are going to keep him in the front office or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to think that he won't land somewhere else. But is this maybe the last head coaching job that he gets?
No, I don't think so. Because that's because of kind of what you said earlier, right? Like at the end of the day, like even if you think he's not a championship coach, clearly he's a guy that can come in and change your culture for the better and set you on a winning foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's exactly he did that for the Bulls. He gave them a winning foundation for years with Derrick Rose, even post injury, and Jimmy Butler. They're still making playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
When then out with New York, he said he led the Timberwolves to their like first playoff series in like since like 2004 back in like 2017. Like I think he's a guy that even if you don't think that he's a championship caliber coach, he's still a guy that can come in and give you a great foundation. And honestly, I think there are some teams that could that desperately need that.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, look, I think Thibs is like you said, he's a good coach, good with culture and everything like that. I mean, who knows? Maybe he attaches to Doc Rivers again next year. Those two have a great connection. But yeah, I could definitely see him. Maybe some team that needs to establish some type of foundation. Maybe giving him a shot down the line next year. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I agree that the move probably was going to happen. I actually never thought about him going to the front office. I didn't think that was ever going to be an option in New York. But I think a follow-up question, looking at the Knicks situation, what do the Knicks kind of need to do at this point to position themselves in a way that they could get back to the conference finals next season? Also, if you want to throw out maybe a potential coach replacement, you can do that as well.
Yeah, I think they really got to find. I think the big thing is they got to find a guy. Obviously, that's more willing to use the bench, which means they actually have to like get bench pieces. It almost feels like they didn't like focus on that this past offseason because they know who Thibs was. Which DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, your contributions will not be forgotten, but. Yeah, they had a weaker bench, so I think first you got to shore up that bench. I know there are talks about like, well, the Knicks are going to trade for KD. Like, just get some more quality bench pieces. Like, start there. You already have enough high priced, talent. Like, you don't need more of it.
Yeah.
But in a coach, you need to find somebody that is just going to make the offense, just kind of click more. You need somebody that's going to run more off-ball action. You need somebody that's going to try to get the whole team involved and instead of just kind of playing Brunson ball all the time. I think the number one, the guy who seems to be the front runner right now is Johnny Bryant. He's a assistant coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and ironically, he started out learning under Tom Thibodeau. So. He's a guy who's very familiar. He's got some familiarity with the New York and their inner workings, and obviously that they liked him enough that he They made him an assistant coach in Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
and they did insanely well with him, as an assistant coach. Between him and Atkinson are a great duo, but I think he's probably the guy that's going to get plucked at some point. If it's not the Knicks, it'll probably be the Suns.
Yeah, because I did see him as a candidate for the Suns job. I think the Suns are looking at 2 assistants from Cleveland to be the next guy down there. So maybe it's something where the Knicks take the other guy. I don't know, but
the only thing the Knicks can't do is don't hire a retread.
mm-hmm.
Like you cannot just go, yeah, let's hire Mike Malone. Like I don't have any beef with Mike Malone, but if you hire someone like Mike Malone or Mike Budenholzer, you're going to run into a lot of similar problems that you ran into with Tom Thibodeau.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are also guys that just, I think, Mike Malone probably trusts his bench more, than both of those guys. But I just think that if you're the Knicks, I think you kind of got to just take a swing. Like, I think this is time for you to be bold. You already went bold with the Mikal Bridges trade. Now I think it's time for you to be bold, getting a coach.
Mm-hmm. Anthony. So Anthony's asking, could the problem be with Jalen the way that he plays? He plays like he doesn't trust anybody on the team. So is Jalen's style of play an issue for the Knicks going forward?
I don't think so, right? And here's why. And I said this before. I think Jalen is just a much better off-ball player. He's shown that he has it in him to be an off-ball player. We've seen him play off of ball dominant guards before. He played with Luka, obviously. And, in the short reps that he had off the ball, that he looked great. Like, it didn't happen often. And I think, part of the reason he wasn't off the ball more was because of Tom Thibodeau. That's just kind of always how he ran his systems. He'd get a ball dominant guard or forward and just, give him the ball and say, hey, go make something happen. He did that with Derrick Rose. He did that with, Jimmy Butler. And now, he's doing it with Jalen Brunson. So I think that it'll be a little bit of an adjustment because it's been now years since he's played a ton off the ball. But I might be wrong, but I think Jalen Brunson is more willing to play off the ball than a lot of people would think. And if you get the right coach to, maximize and find a better balance of him on and off the ball, then I think he could be great. He actually had his lowest usage percentage this year. Last year, usage percentage was all above at 32. This year was at 29. So he took a little bit of a step back this year, and I thought he did well when he did.
Here's going, Cottrell. So Cottrell's throwing out Mike Malone. I did just see from Sportsline odds makers who they kind of have on their list, and I'll throw some names out at you, and you let me know, could you see it working in New York? What's going on, Jory? So I'll say lowest odds on here, Rick Brunson. He's already on the staff. He's Jalen's dad,
No.
Okay.
That wouldn't go over well.
The next two, Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy.
I think they'll hire Stephen A. Smith before they hire Mark Jackson. Jeff Van Gundy, nah, probably not.
Yeah. It'd be entertaining. Mike Brown. It's a guy who is out there.
They're not doing the Mike Brown experience again.
You already talked about Mike Budenholzer. They have Sam Cassell on here.
Could be interesting.
Jay Wright.
I don't think so. I don't think that'll happen, but
So Cottrell says Mark Jackson would be fire. Anthony said Johnny Bryant we did talk about. Johnny Bryant seems like he's going to get either the Knicks job or the Suns job. One of them.
Is Mark Jackson going to update his offensive scheme? Or am I just going to sit here watching another year of everybody isoing at the elbow all year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cottrell, I'll tell you, Vogel's not even on this list. I don't know what's going on with him. Now your top five guys: Taylor Jenkins, Chris Quinn, Johnny Bryant, Dan Hurley, and the odds are Mike Malone is the favorite for the job.
Okay, Hurley. No, I doubt. If he's not leaving for the Lakers, I doubt he's leaving for the Knicks. You said who are okay? I remember Mike Malone and Johnny Bryan. Who are the
Chris
other
Quinn
two?
and Taylor Jenkins. Chris
Okay,
Quinn seems like a name that has been coming up for like a few years.
I was
I don't
gonna
know.
say I don't think it'll be Quinn.
Yeah.
Taylor Jenkins, no. I don't see it. The problem with somebody like Taylor Jenkins, and this could be a kind of like a similar issue with Mike Malone, is like the last time we saw them, like apparently the locker room environment around them was toxic enough that they canned them right before the playoffs. Like these are two coaches that did the one thing you cannot do in coaching and lose the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
We can try to make the argument that different team, different situation,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not necessarily here for it. I don't think it would happen. I think Mike Malone is just interesting in the sense that I'm curious to see what his offense would look like, because obviously we mainly see him running a kind of a Jokic led offense, but I'm more worried about the whole like losing the locker room so badly that you have to fire him like 4 games before the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it'll be Malone. I don't think it'll be Jenkins. I think fortune favors the bold, and I'm really liking either Johnny Bryant or arguably the other name that like piqued me up the most was Sam Cassell. Like we don't need another more retread coaches. Give me a new fresh face to get in the room.
Yeah. Well, Anthony, I will tell you, Doc Rivers is still the Bucks coach as of right now.
Unfortunately.
Dan Hurley turned on the Lakers. Can't see that happening. So if you're the Knicks and you wanted to go after Dan Hurley, you would have to hope that one, Knicks and Lakers are two big brands, so maybe that appeals to him now more than last year. And going from UConn to New York isn't that much of a move. Like that would be his way to do it, but way to wrote that in. Yeah, I don't know if I see Hurley. Although this year at UConn, he seemed very frustrated, but I feel like he will stay there. And I kind of agree with you. Brian would be at least a new face. I'm like you. Like it's always refreshing to see new guys get opportunities because you never know. Look, maybe Brian isn't a good head coach, but why not give him a shot at it? See if you maybe catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, Mike Malone being number one is, I guess, something to watch because I feel like New Yorkers are going to put that name out there. You already know, like the Stephen A's and those guys will probably push Mike Malone to that job. I guess it's whether or not the Knicks kind of go with it. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, Jory put in there before, like the Knicks can be kind of dumb. Same organization that can't seem to get on terms with Charles Oakley, who's a Knicks great, who like doesn't show up there anymore. Scott Brooks, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Coach K, okay, Damien. I feel like Coach K is living it up in the retired life. I doubt he's on. He retired from Duke. I doubt he goes to New York and deals with that headache at this point in his life.
Yeah,
it is a name.
No, like I said, you could go with some of these retread guys, but like I said, I would just love to see a new face in the coaching ranks here. And we've seen it work. Phil Jackson's corpse. They already tried Phil Jackson in New York once. It did not go well.
I mean, can we even find Phil Jackson now if we wanted to? That guy's probably in some remote part of Montana. Just who knows what he's doing.
The most notable things that happened in the Phil Jackson era was who the F is Tingus Pingus,
Yeah.
and everybody saying, "Yeah, hey, you should draft Donovan Mitchell," and then them drafting Frank Nicolatina instead. Like
Yeah.
that's about the excitement of Phil Jackson era.
That
Patrick
is
Ewing.
weird that they could have drafted Mitchell, and then remember they wanted to trade for him, but refused to give up Quentin Grimes for him.
Oh, don't we love it when teams do that? That just
Yeah.
reminds me of when the Lakers wanted to trade for Kyle Lowry, but Talon Horton Tucker was untouchable.
That's who it was. Cause I keep thinking about Horton Tucker, how the Lakers made him out to be like an untouchable. I couldn't remember who they were trying to get. It
Yeah,
was Kyle Lowry,
it was Lowry,
which I mean,
which I love it when teams overrate their own players. It's so funny. I'm ironically seeing a lot of that now. Obviously with the Giannis mock trades,
mm-hmm.
like there's a Raptors mock trade, and they're like, well, they can have two of our three young forwards, but they can't have all three of them. I'm like, do you really think the Raptors would hold up a trade like, yeah, I'm sorry, we want Giannis, but we're not giving up Jonathan Mogbo. Try again. Like, no,
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
exactly. Damian threw out Patrick Ewing, so I guess he's going like Knicks great, who could be the next coach. I mean, I don't know how interested Patrick Ewing is in coaching. I'm gonna say no on that one. I don't even know what Knicks legend you could even see.
I don't really think they have a lot of coaches like you'd want
Yeah.
to see. And like the one time they did try to like trot out a player that played for them to coach, if I remember correctly, they tried that with Derek Fisher, and it went absolutely terribly.
That's true. Yeah. There you go. Control scene rumors. KD and Giannis to Toronto.
I've seen rumors.
Look,
apparently,
Toronto
he
doesn't
wants to
have
play
enough to
everywhere.
probably trade for Giannis. They're going to trade for both of them with what they have up there now.
No, well, like it's funny because I think Toronto makes a lot of sense for Giannis, ironically, because of Masai Ujiri.
Yeah,
and like how like influential he was at the beginning of his career. So I would actually understand like Giannis going to Toronto, but the reality about the Giannis situation is, unless he says he's going somewhere, he's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not willingly trading Giannis. And the only way we're trading Giannis if he comes out and says, "Yeah, guys, it's over. I want to go." So to me, as until I hear something from pretty much from the horse's mouth himself, like it's all hogwash. Like, and plus, like there's a different rumor every day, and they all contradict each other constantly. First it was he wants to play somewhere with no income tax, and then they went full draft day with Bo Callahan. He's the only non-Warriors that got invited to his birthday party, so now he's going to play with Steph in Golden State. Like, I thought you just talking about no income tax. Now he's going to California.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, now we're shipping him off to Toronto. I'm just like, oh my gosh, why? Like, what are we doing?
But I mean, look, this is the time of year that those who love the rumor mill will just have the time of their life. Because, like you said, every day we're going to see stuff about Giannis, about KD, maybe like Booker and guys like that. And yeah, I mean, look, the Giannis to Toronto thing, I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, I was messing around on, I think it was Fanspo or something, just kicking around trades that technically were successful. And I'm just like, I couldn't see Milwaukee doing any of these. Now, maybe like Cottrell said, if it was like a KD Giannis type of package to go there, and obviously have to get more teams involved, and then, maybe Milwaukee gets more out of it that way. But I guess to get back to the Knicks, I think we kind of went through the Knicks. We talked about their coaching search and everything. I want to look at the other team that lost in the conference finals in the Wolves. Because, look, they have a young star in Anthony Edwards. They had, some bench guys who were inconsistent. They have a point guard in Mike Conley that's probably, a little too old at this point. So what do the Wolves need to do to ensure that they can make it back to the conference finals next season?
Um, they probably don't. I mean, I don't even want to sound like I'm being pessimistic here, but
Yeah.
it just feels like that their path to back to the conference finals it's rough, right? Because now you have to get through the gauntlet of the West again. Hopefully, you get all the favorable matchups. Obviously, you're gonna need a playmaking leap from Anthony Edwards. And then there's also the problem of okay, Nas Reed's a free agent. Julius Randle is a free agent. Nickel Alexander Walker is a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Like all three of those guys are key pieces. Mike Conley looked, washed in the conference finals. Okay.
Yeah.
Will Rob Dillingham be ready? Are you going to have to try to find a replacement for Mike Conley? And that's kind of like where I'm at. I feel like there's just too many moving pieces with that team to make it back next year. It's possible, obviously, but they just have to replace and like tweak so much that I just don't see it.
So looking at what Controls put, you tell me who says no. So the Wolves get Darius Garland, and they send out McDaniels and DiVincenzo.
We'll say no.
Okay.
I mean, like Darius Garland can score. I do like what Darius Garland brings to the table. The problem is, if you're doing that, then who's getting stops on the perimeter? Like you're losing your main perimeter stopper,
Mhm.
especially since most likely Nickel Alexander Walker is probably gone this offseason. I don't see
Yeah.
them retaining him.
Yep.
You're sending DiVincenzo out too. At that point, like you don't have anybody to get a stop on the perimeter. So I love the idea of the Wolves, kicking the tires on Darius Garland.
Mm-hmm.
But, Jaden McDaniel, like, I think he might be a little too steep because he's their main perimeter stopper. And then, of course, he's actually been a pretty good playoff riser for them. And he's a big reason why they've been making these deep runs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's also the part with Darius Garland where I believe in Darius Garland, but the man always seems to get hurt and his play has dropped the past couple playoffs. So it'd be a risk and a half. And if they could keep Garland healthy, it probably would look fine. But as of right now, like, yeah, I don't think they can re-sign Nah, though. Because then you're already re-signing Reed, Randall. Now you re-sign Nah. Hey, wait, what? You guys can sign Nah.
Yeah. I mean, I did run through Control's little proposal over in Fanspo. Technically doesn't work because of like $2.5 million money for, I believe, the Wolves. So you have to add on a little bit, but yeah. And actually said it's like +1, -1 in terms of the trade. So it's pretty even. But when he says let Randall walk or sign and trade, I mean, look, the offseason is going to be crazy. So something like this maybe happens. I don't know. I mean, Controls is giving away everybody. Once Garland gone, Okoro gone, because you need some dogs in Cleveland. Okay. Well, look, okay. With Control, be it here as a Cavs fan, I guess we'll go back to the Knicks really quickly. So let's say the Knicks stand pat as they are a second apron team. And you go into next season, let's assume all the teams that were the players this year kind of stand pat themselves. Can the Knicks think that they would be a top 3-4 seed next year in the East as currently constructed? Or are one of these younger teams maybe ready to pass them by in like Detroit? I guess if Orlando ever stayed healthy, I don't know. But you figure the Pacers aren't going anywhere. I mean, as much as, Control's trying to get rid of Cavs pieces, you figure the Cavs will be there again next year. Like, how does the East kind of shape up right now for the Knicks next season?
Honestly, I think the Knicks can still be top four. but they shouldn't be complacent because obviously the Pistons are on the rise. They'll be even better once Cade Cunningham learns how to finish a layup. They'll be fantastic. No, they're on the rise. We got to remember the Orlando Magic before all the injuries were a top 3 seed. So they've shown they can play really high level ball if everybody can stay healthy. And honestly, you want dogs, Cottrell? I've been pushing this Orlando Magic Cleveland Cavaliers swap with Garland for a while. So say call Orlando, make me sound not crazy. Y'all can have Jalen Suggs. Yeah, no, but I think that there are teams on the rise where I think the Knicks are still a top 4 seed as constructed, but like I said, they can't be complacent. As soon as they do, these teams are going to jump them.
Apparently, Cottrell's not a Suggs fan. Anthony said, "How do we feel about Paul George to the Warriors?"
Oh God, why would they do that?
Yeah,
that'd be terrible
for
the
Warriors. I'm saying no to that.
I'm hanging up the phone like, hey, do you want Paul? Click.
Right. So Cottrell says he's as injury prone as Garland and worse overall.
I think the thing with he is worse than Garland. So obviously you guys would be getting more than just Jalen Suggs back in a deal. But I think the big thing with Jalen Suggs is he kind of brings the component that it feels like the Cavaliers need, right? Like he gives you an elite point of attack defender, which a backcourt of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland currently do not have. And he can also take on some playmaking duties. Like I said, I think obviously more will be coming back the Cavs way than Jalen Suggs, but I do think that Jalen Suggs in Cleveland would actually be a great fit. I think, especially defensive-wise, he would give them an elite point of attack defender that they've been, missing this entire tenure with Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. Control says Ben Simmons would probably be a good fit for them, assuming the Warriors. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Ben Simmons might actually be a wanted man this offseason. I mean, I guess you could see it. Another ball handler, a defender, I guess. He did show with the Clippers that, he can still play a little. He's not number 1 pick worthy Ben Simmons, but he can give you something.
Let's say, yeah, he can contribute somewhat. Suggs and
DiVincenzo. Okay. Oh, okay. So he meant Ben Simmons for the Knicks.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I got you. I got you, Control. Okay, so we did this with the Knicks in the East. Let's look at the Wolves in the West. Let's say they keep everything status quo. How do you see them kind of fitting with the West next season?
Top 6 seed?
Okay.
Because we got to think, obviously OKC will be back. Houston will probably only improve.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously we look at teams like you're going to give a full off season to build around and integrate Luka into that offense. So the Lakers probably jump them. Grizzlies, they're such an intriguing team half the time. On one hand, I almost want to talk Memphis, but I'm not going to go Memphis. I'll go Denver. Obviously, is also always a threat with Jokic. And then we also have teams on the rise, and by teams I mean we're going to have the San Antonio Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
Say maybe the Phoenix Suns bounce back, which I'm not going to hold my breath on that one.
Yeah.
But I think that as constructed, I think if they ran it back, they'd be like a top 6 seed. But if they don't actively try and make improvements, they're definitely sliding down a couple spots.
So Anthony says that Ant needs a better number 2. Control says San Antonio after they get Giannis. If, if,
Hey,
you're, if, 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 you premier destination. Get the number two pick from them. They have plenty of young guys you can get.
Oh, I drew up a Giannis to San Antonio mock trade actually. So
Okay.
see, I understand that Giannis is going for a haul.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my idea. So my salary filler pieces: Harrison Barnes. You either need to send out Keldon Johnson or Devin Vassell to make this work.
Okay.
So I just threw Johnson in here. But I guess if the Spurs want to keep him and put Vassell in at this point, I really wouldn't care. Then I threw in Blake Wesley and Julian Champagne for salary purposes. The real prize in this, Stephon Castle and 4 firsts.
That is all. Yeah.
To me, that is about the right equivalent. To me, that's about the equivalent of 5 firsts for Giannis, which I think Castle's worth the first.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the first round pick in this year, the number 2 pick. And then obviously with this one too, left them with the number 14 pick so they could still make a pick in this year's, really deep draft. Left them with their 2027 first rounder. I don't think they'll have a choice if they want Giannis. If the Spurs want Giannis, you're throwing in Castle. This isn't I don't think this is a situation where the Spurs would really have that much leverage. It's just, you're not throwing in Castle? Okay, we'll keep him.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Giannis would be the prize of the deal, so
yeah,
it'd be crazy for the Bucks not to ask for the world from San Antonio to get him.
And the thing with Giannis, I think people are forgetting, is he's under contract for another 3 years. So it's not like he has an early termination even next offseason. Like, you have 2 years after this until he has a player option. So you get best in the world caliber production for multiple years. So pretty much
5 first, Keldon, Vassell, and all the cap filler.
Now we're taking Castle.
Okay.
I don't think there's a deal without Castle.
I mean, look, that would be interesting to see if the Spurs would. Well, I mean, I guess if that's the holdup in the deal, they probably do it. But I mean, I'm kind of like a trail. At this point, I'm like, I don't think the Spurs would move Castle, but
no, I think they would though. Let me put it this way: I think Castle's great for your future, but obviously obtaining Giannis just kind of, it gives you a championship window with Fox, Giannis, and Wemby. And then obviously you're still giving up 4 firsts, but this still leaves you with multiple firsts. So it's one of those things that I get it, Cottrell. I know how much they love Castle, and they kept him from the Fox deal, but there is a massive difference in trading for De'Aaron Fox and trading for Giannis. So this with Giannis, if I know the Bucks are just going to do what's best for them, and it's going to be hey, yeah, we want Castle. You're not going to put him in there? Okay, we'll keep him.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say we'll just go talk to Houston.
Yeah. I think they even put Embiid to Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, Philly would probably love to do that because Philly would take anything to get out from Embiid. But yeah, that's no. I don't want to do that to Minnesota. Giannis and Wemby would be crazy. Yeah, Giannis and Wemby would be that's like dreams of 2K for people.
I love the idea of hey, yeah, and you know how you love playing in the open floor? Yeah, here's Embiid. We're completely slowing everything down. We're just playing through the half court now.
Yeah.
Or just watching Joel Embiid try to run with a faster paced offense in 2025 would be hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Wait, do we literally have 2 Anthonys in the chat? That's okay. That's kind of wild. We need to deepen our bench to lax the starter minutes. Jimmy and Cat all over again. Yeah. Pittsburgh tight end tore his Achilles and OTAs.
Is it Freiermuth?
Yeah,
or is it one of the best? I gotta look at this real quick.
Yeah, that's after today when they tried I guess the talks between them and the Dolphins for Jonnu Smith like fell through or something like that. Was it Fryermuth?
I'm still looking. I haven't seen a. Oh, here we go. Let's. Oh, haven't found it yet.
Okay, that's fine. The new NBA is not what Thibs is coaching. Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier, where
Oh, Donald Parham.
the guy from the Chargers, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, probably not the news that Pittsburgh wanted right now, with so many questions around their team, especially O line and quarterback. But
it's all right. Aaron Rodgers will decide like 5 minutes before kickoff that he's joining the team.
yeah, the story that will never go away.
It'll
We
only
keep
go.
saying each week, like, will he sign next week? We'll talk about it, and it doesn't seem like he's anywhere close to signing. Let's see, sign turn. Let's see. Yeah, Parham Jr. Okay, so yeah, Anthony says the new NBA is not what Thibs is coaching, and I think we can agree that if he gets another chance somewhere, he's gonna have to change his philosophy on rotation and offense for sure. Like, I don't think there's any questioning that. Either that, or you got to stick him with some like assistant who can kind of handle all that for him.
I don't think
I mean,
that
Anthony,
happened.
would you agree that Thibs is at least a good coach, though?
Like, Tibbs is a good coach, but I also just think he is who he is at this point. Like, I don't think he
True.
really cares what assistant you're throwing with him. Like, he just kind of is who he is. Like, literally, this year was probably one of the more flexible Tibbs years that we've seen with his strategies.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we saw how long it took for him to actually implement them. So, I just think that if you're, getting Thibodeau, like, you know what you're getting. He doesn't really change. He'll slightly adjust the defense to fit your team strengths, but offense is kind of always just going to be like free flowing, put the ball in his best player's hands, and be like, okay, go make a play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which probably speaks why Brunson loved him. What's going on? Universe Galaxy, pretty ominous name. I'm gonna come in here and drop Michael Jordan fans the most questionable. I'm gonna need to know why. Like, we're gonna need a follow up message from you on that one. Um, yeah. So let's see what else was I gonna ask. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the finals, which do get underway on Thursday. The Thunder, number one seed in the West, make it through the playoffs, get to kind of where everybody expected them to be. Yeah, I feel like that's not going to go anywhere nice. And then you have the Pacers, who second year in a row make the conference finals, and here we are. Thursday's game one. So looking at the matchup, I feel like everybody's going to pick the Thunder as the favorite. What is the Pacers' path to an upset? What do they need to do? Establish what do they have to take away from the Thunder? Like, what do the Pacers do to get the upset in this one?
I'd say when it comes to the Pacers and Thunder, it almost, I think it's gonna kind of almost play on a little bit of luck, right, on the Pacers' part. Because the key is just going to be they're going to do what they can. They're going to throw everything they can at Shea and J-Dub and just do everything to slow them down. And I think they can do a great job of that. I think they can put a lot of energy into that. I think the luck part is there better hope that these Thunder shooters are cold because you can't take away everything. So we know Shea is going to want to get into the lane. He wants 2 feet to touch the paint every possession. Go under screens, force him to be a pull-up three-point shooter.
Mm-hmm.
So try to take away the mid-range as much as you can. And pretty much I think their key is just kind of make sure somebody not named Shea beats you. In which obviously I make it sound, it sounds easy saying that, but it's a lot, harder to do than expected when it comes to this Thunder team.
Yeah. Okay, so Universe Galaxy, I didn't mean anything by saying it won't be nice. So you said they're questionable, so I'm assuming it's not a good reason. And I mean, you can throw it in the comments for sure, and we can talk about it. I mean, appreciate you tuning in for sure. So I do want to hear why you think they are questionable. Um, yeah, I mean, look, for the Pacers, it's going to be obviously a different task than the Knicks, because when we talked about the Knicks, it was like play with their pace, force the Knicks to play with them at that breakneck pace, and we saw what happened. The Thunder love to play the same way, as the Pacers do, so they can't really use that as an advantage. I mean, I think for the Pacers, they're gonna have to be careful with the ball, because we've seen with the Thunder, you give them turnovers, they're converting those, and then that's how they turn 6-0 runs into like 15-0 runs, and you blink and you're down double digits. Like, the Pacers are going to have to be prepared for that and be careful with it, whether it's Halliburton or Siakam or one of these guys. Like, they're going to have to be smart and no careless passes. I think everything else, I do agree with what you said. So I want to turn to Rick Carlisle now. I don't know where you have Rick Carlisle in terms of, coaches today. Is he top 5, top 10, whatever? But do you think Carlisle has established through this run that he is a top 5 coach in the league today if you didn't think he was?
I just think he always just was.
Okay, yeah. I guess I was kind of see, like, where do you think he was? Because I know everybody looks at, like, Spoelstra, Lou, was Popovich, but Popovich is obviously out of the game now. Maybe. Actually, who's your top 5 coaches today?
So now, obviously, Pop's out of the game. Obviously, I'm a real big fan of no particular order. Kenny Atkinson. I was trying to get, I was praying that he would come coach the Bucks before, he was scooped up by Cleveland. That's, when we signed Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Yuck. Mark Dagnut's done an absolutely phenomenal job over in OKC. Doc Rivers. No, I'm kidding. To do that. I'm sorry. Joe Mazzulla, I don't think he gets enough credit for the work that he does over in Boston. Obviously, I think Rick Carlisle's in the conversation, and of course, I didn't forget him, Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah, because look, Carlisle was the coach in Dallas when they had their championship run. I feel like he kind of gets forgotten only because it seems like it's been a while since then that we've seen one of his teams in this position other than last year. But yeah, he does a masterful job with the group that he does have. So I guess I can agree with you that Carlisle is a top 5 coach in the league. And
I still think
that might be the Pacers' biggest advantage is on the sideline. Even though Dagnall is a good coach in his own right, but Carlisle has that experience at this level that Dagnall just doesn't have right now.
I think Rick Carlisle got snubbed from the 15 greatest coaches of all time list when they made that when the top 75 came out. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you can guess who I think he should have replaced.
I'll try to remember the list, but
well, I'm sure you can guess who made it. I think should probably not have been there. Glenn Rivers being there is the most.
Doc was on there. Okay.
Yeah, he unfortunately was, and it was a terrible choice then, and it's aged even worse now. Glenn Rivers is just an awful basketball coach, but hey, he won a title back in 2008, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's been riding that one for forever now. And he was coach of the year in Orlando. Yeah, coach of the year in Orlando, won the title in Boston, and he's been living off both since then. Yeah, I mean, I forgot all about that list. I would not have guessed that Doc was on it.
Oh, he definitely is.
Okay, so we talked about Pacers' path to the upset. For OKC, I feel like going into the playoffs, a lot of people were looking at them as a team that if they didn't get it done, KD would be a guy that they should go after to get over like the hump or whatever. With what they've done at this point, would you say they've quieted those kind of rumors, or do they have to win the title for people to really think they don't need a KD type of player?
I think I think they have to win the title, right? I think if you want to completely quiet those rumors, you have to finish the job. Because if not, because people are nowadays are just very short sighted. Like they
Mm-hmm.
don't. I think honestly, I think like 95% of people who talk basketball are just stupid half the time with the way they grade things nowadays. And one of the biggest frustrations on and one of the biggest frustrations that I have is they'll be like, oh well, he didn't win the chip. They made it to the finals, but he didn't win the chip. So I think that I think just winning your conference is a huge achievement.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think at the end of the day, at the end of the day, for most people, if they don't win the chip, that talk's probably just going to get louder. Like, yeah, well, imagine if it was KD instead of J Dub or Giannis instead of J Dub. So, yeah, I forgot about Steve Kerr. That's my bad.
Okay, I was about to ask because Damien's asking, would you still put Steve Kerr top five, even with the state of the Warriors right now? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think if they want to completely quiet the noise, they're going to have to finish the job. So,
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Um, Also, Universe Galaxy, I saw the messages. I guess I'll let you know. Yeah, the opportunity arises. Um, okay. Yeah, I guess I do kind of agree with that. Only because, like you said, the media pressure and everything will be out there. I think for Oklahoma, if they do get to the finals and then lose to Indiana, they might make what could be seen as a rash decision to try to get that title down to Oklahoma. Even though I could argue that if they made it to the finals, that means the team's good enough. Maybe with another season they could win it. But I get the talk will definitely continue. So yeah, they probably do have to win it if you want to completely shut down those conversations.
I I need them to win it too because if they lose this finals, you know exactly what happens. Big perk comes up on ESPN. They would
Yep.
have won if I was there. This would have happened in my locker room.
Right. Exactly. Oh, Perk. God. It's
So
kind of crazy to think Perk in back-to-back years could have former teams win the title. At this point, he's going to think he's the reason for it all and that he's controlling the NBA. It's because of him the NBA is where it is
the,
right now.
the
With
Celtics wouldn't have won last year if he didn't lay down the culture.
yeah, exactly.
I did see somebody trying to make arguments that Perk was actually a really good center because the Celtics were competitive when he was there, and that was just the funniest thing ever.
I mean, look, Perk had his role, but you're not going to sit here and convince me that he was a good center. He was the fifth guy in the starting lineup that just happened to play the center position. Got you some
Right.
rebounds, got a couple block shots, yes, but he was very limited.
Yeah.
That's probably the best I could put it, is that he was limited. Okay.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was saying I completely agree with you. I just thought it was an absolutely funny argument. Like I promise you, they didn't win those because Big Perk was there.
Yeah.
I think you could have replaced Big Perk with 90% of the league, and the team with Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce probably still winning that title in 08 and still
Mhm.
making deep playoff runs after that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Perk injury did hurt in the repeat chances, but also got to remember KG did get hurt as well, and that was a bigger factor in why they didn't win. I mean, yeah, I wanted that team to win the second title so bad, but Lakers stood in the way. It is what it is. Let's see. Okay, for the Pacers and the Thunder, who do you have winning? How many games? Biggest X factor.
Thunder in 6. I think that everything the Pacers can do, the Thunder can also do it just better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Pacers have played at the third fastest pace in this playoffs. Guess who's number 2 in pace? The Thunder.
Yep.
Pacers have an all-world point guard who can really coordinate an offense at an elite level. The Thunder have that, except better.
Yeah.
And you just kind of keep going down the list. The Thunder have everything the Pacers have, except they have like the better version of it. Now, I do think that the Pacers, I'll give them all the credit in the world. That team is filled with absolute dogs. They're not going to give up. And I trust the Pacers. If we get into a tight game, we get into a dogfight. Like, I trust the Pacers to hold their own and give themselves a chance to win. But I think the Thunder just have way too much firepower, and they're just better on both sides of the ball than the Pacers. So I'm going to go Thunder in 6.
Okay. I mean, I've seen some people saying like Thunder in 4, maybe 5. I think the Pacers get a game or two, so I kind of agree with you. I was going to go Thunder in 6 as well. And look, I just think for the Pacers, it's been a great season. They are a really good team. I just think that this is probably the worst matchup for them because, like you said, whatever advantage the Thunder could have had, I mean, the Pacers could have had, the Thunder kind of do the same thing. So they'll be well equipped to deal with them. Where the Knicks, obviously, you had 2 guys in Brunson and Cat that you could target if you're the Pacers. You're going to be hard pressed to find guys like that on that OKC team. Like you're dealing with a whole set of like you said, J-Dub. You got Caruso, Hartenstein, Chet, SGA, like Case and Wallace. Like they have defenders that they can just throw at anybody on the Pacers. I mean, the Pacers' best bet might be Halliburton just going absolute crazy, like averaging a triple-double in the series or something like that. And even then, I don't know if they would win it, but that's probably going to be their best bet. Like Halliburton's going to have to be not equal to SGA, but he's got to be kind of close to him. And, I mean, that might be a little much, obviously, because Halliburton is a kind of facilitator first, scorer second, but I think he's going to have to look for a shot a little bit more against the Thunder.
No, fair enough. And but Damian, this time we saw them. Like I think the biggest gripe against the Thunder were their inability to sometimes get it done in close games and in close series. But I feel like they dispelled that narrative in the second round against the Nuggets. Like there were some absolute dogfights in that series, and the Thunder prevailed, and they won multiple dogfights this run. So I think that that Nuggets series really helped, kind of like make me go, oh, whoa, wait a minute, this team, because like most of the other teams in the league would have absolutely folded if Jokic started doing what he did against the Thunder, but they, in the face of adversity, they held strong and they survived some grueling dogfights, before that Game 7, but. Yeah, the first 6 games are just uber competitive, and the Thunder still pulled that series out.
Yeah. I mean, Damien, you got Pacers in 4. Like, you might as well throw some money down on that. If that happens, you'll probably be a very rich man.
If you're gonna go that bold, like throw $20 on it.
Yeah, you might as well. Okay, George got Thunder in 5. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people will probably come in with Thunder in 5. Now, let's see. I think I wanted to look at some of the. I think I had another question on the series. Let's see. Okay, so if the Thunder do win, we'll probably assume SGA as probably the Finals MVP type. What does that do for him in terms of best player in the league? Like, where does that move him up anywhere for you? Does it kind of keep him where you might have him already?
The way I kind of see the best player in the league is I feel like there's almost like you have to get into a tier, right? Because I think the best player in the league can kind of almost fluctuate on any given night between a select few people, right? Like, we'll go through stretches where, Jokic looks like the best player in the league, and then Giannis will get hot, and then it'll be Jokic again. I think, Shea already, kind of put himself in that discussion. If he wins a ring, this will be one of the greatest guard seasons that we've ever seen. So I think if he wins a ring, yeah, he absolutely puts himself, in the discussion. Say, so because you can't really say anything else. Like, this is genuinely just an all-time great guard season, and he caps that off with a Finals MVP. Like, yeah, there's nothing more that you can say except this guy is just one of like a shorthand list of one of the best players in the world.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm just looking up the betting odds for Finals MVP, and obviously SGA is number one. Then the next two are actually Pacers players and Halliburton and Siakam. Then it goes J-Dub, Chet. Then if you really want to make some money, Miles Turner at plus 36,000. So,
Miles Turner's going to win Finals MVP. The first thing Pacers fans are going to do is put his ass on the trade machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, thanks for winning us this title. Have fun in Charlotte. We're getting Mark Williams back. What?
Right. The odds maker also have it as a Thunder sweep as the most likely outcome.
I mean, it's possible, but like I said, I think this Pacers team is just kind of like they kind of shown too much for me to comfortably say it's going to be a sweep at this point.
Let's see, anything else interesting they have on here? Not really. Yeah, obviously, most likely is Thunder in 4 or 5, which I think, sure. I mean, look, a sweep is the worst thing for me for a finals because my thought is like, deeper you get into the playoffs, the more competitive the series should be, so the more games it should be. So I'm hoping it goes at least 6. And I think it could be 6 entertaining games between the pace that both teams like to play at.
Oh, I'm hoping it goes like to 7. That would be
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. The discourse around this finals is so weird. I see too many people going, well, what about like the market size? And I was like, if you're not an NBA or TV executive, like, why do you care about the ratings or the market size? Like, I'm not gonna like Thursday be like, thought about watching the games, but man, these markets are just too small.
Right.
Like, this should be a fun, entertaining series, and I think that should be the only discourse. Should be, I'm excited to watch these two teams play.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like, what's gonna sell the series are the names. Halliburton has become a name if you weren't really thinking about him. SGA MVP, like, he brings a lot of cachet with him now. I feel like, with the being a lot of young players involved, maybe to a lot of audiences, you might get a better look at Jalen Williams, or maybe if you forgot about Siakam up in Toronto, get introduced to him once again. I think, like I said, I think it's going to be an intriguing series. I agree with you. The whole market stuff never made sense to me because, what do you care? You just want good games. then I feel like this is going to be even if it was a 5 game series, I feel like it'd be 5 fun games. Like that's all you can ask for. So I can't wait to see it Thursday. I know you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I mean, look, Anthony did bring up earlier the Zion drama. Like, do we really need to talk about that? The fact that Zion keeps, coming up and off the court stuff. I feel like here we only want to talk about Zion on the court, which he's never on the court, so we don't really talk about Zion anyway.
And, obviously when it comes down to allegations like they are at this current state of, time, you just want to wait till all the facts comes out. So it still is like innocent until proven guilty. I will say this, obviously, if he's innocent, anybody slandering him should, probably send him an apology basket. But obviously, if even one of those things that are being alleged against him are guilty, should be out of the league. Should be done. So I know, like I said, the chat mentioned the Zion stuff. My stance is I'm not really going to comment on it until we get more. But yeah, if it turns out that he did nothing wrong, then just drop it, let it go. But if it turns out that there is something there, and one or two of those, even just one of those gets proven true, then he shouldn't be playing NBA basketball. It should be a privilege to make generational wealth.
I agree. Yeah, I think the only thing I'll say about Zion tonight is, can we just start making some news on the court? Like the past couple of years, whatever, it seems like it's just a bunch of stuff off the court that he should be over at this point. Like he's a professional. Start acting like it.
Send him to. You know what? Send him to Miami.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure.
I feel like that would either be the greatest thing for his career or the absolute worst.
Yeah.
Like there's no in between. Either he'd get in the best shape of his life and dominate, or he would just never play because he's suspended all the time because he just can't make any weight clauses.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see what plays out with Zion there. Let's see. So talk about the finals. Talk about the Final Four teams. We'll see what happens with the off season, of course, because I cannot wait for that, and that's gonna happen like right after the finals start. Teams will start making some noise in that field, so we'll be here to cover that as well. Didn't want to switch gears before we kind of look to get out of here. EA released their Madden cover. Saquon Barkley is on the cover. With that move that he made, that I still don't know how he pulled it off. The jumping over the guy backwards, which was crazy. So I think the cover definitely fits. The deluxe cover is kind of cold too because he's kind of giving like the stare off to the side. But are the Eagles cooked because Barkley's on the cover of Madden with the Madden numbers?
Oh, absolutely. We know it. Like he's an aging running back with averaging a lot of touches now on the Madden cover. Like just chalk up the Eagle seasons already.
Right.
And obviously when it comes to the Eagles, it just comes down to health with them. They are coming back with what should be one of the best teams, in all the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue coming into the season they're the best team in the NFL, and they have absolutely earned that right. Whether the Madden curse hits Saquon remains to be seen. But yeah, no, it should be another great season for the Eagles. I do love the cover. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So I can pull it up. Yeah, and I heard the story about, with the cover, why the athlete that he's jumping over doesn't have a logo on their helmet. We all know who he did it against. It was the Jaguars. But, like, apparently it's like, don't want to kind of knock the Jags with the cover and everything like that. So it's a logoless player, but we all know
we really worried about knocking the Jags. Like the Jags
Well,
don't do
exactly.
that for themselves.
Like exactly.
Oh, I saw they're like, oh, we added a bunch of new plays, like 1,000 new plays just for me to run 4 verts when I need it.
Right. I guess I was gonna kind of ask that, like, what's the feature that's not in the game you'd love to see? No, Saquon is not the first running back. Sean Alexander's been on. Marshall
Peyton
Falk,
Hillis, baby.
Payne Hillis, yeah. Who am I
Say,
missing?
I will not stand for Peyton Hillis erasure. So,
Adrian Peterson.
oh yeah, Shay, that was Madden
Has Derrick
25.
Henry been on the cover?
I don't think so.
Oh, seems like they missed an opportunity there.
The one thing that they talked about that they added, which I really like, is they were talking about that apparently defenders can intercept the ball if they don't get their head around it. And I love that.
Yes.
I predicate a lot of my offense on making you very anticipation throws.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'll throw it because I'm like, oh, he's not even looking at me. And then all of a sudden they'll just like do the quickest 180 I've ever seen. It's like, oh, and I have to listen to a pass is picked off. Like, how? Did he just like sense the ball was coming his way?
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, that is definitely the worst. Yeah.
So yeah, I do love that they added in apparently that you can't really pick a ball off unless you're turned around and facing it. What Madden game is the best? Ooh,
what's going on, Daddy Dorf? Oh,
that's so tough. Because I remember growing up on like Madden 25 was great. Was it Madden 23 where I played a lot of I think it was like Madden 23. I played a ton of Ultimate Team. And they came out with like the anniversary cards. And you could put the abilities on them. And hey, shout out playing Madden, I think it was like Madden 99 with your dad. So I do love the N64 version. But yeah, no, I put a spin cycle on Eric Dickerson and just ran stretch plays. It was the most broken thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like when I played Madden games, I feel like I don't even know what was the best one. So I couldn't tell you.
It pretty much depends on what my favorite Packers team was to use. I loved any of the years that we had Aaron Jones. And now we have Josh Jacobs because I always ran more of a run-heavy offense, play off the run game into some play action sort of thing. So, and that's why I make a lot of just anticipation throws. I'll try to, feed it into tight windows. But, yeah, I would say my favorite may have been Madden. I think it was 20. At this point, it'd be Madden 24. I did enjoy Madden 24.
Okay. I mean, my pages were like done dirty the past few years, so Madden was. They didn't really. The team wasn't good, but I will say, like the current one before 26, like I've had fun playing it. So, like, I guess that'd be my answer. I don't know.
I did enjoy this year's too.
Yeah.
I just love how they're just adding more like motions into the game every year.
Mm-hmm. Damien says, do we see Saquon breaking the record this season? I'm going to say no. I feel like last year would have probably been the year to do it, but then they sat him.
Are we talking about the rushing record?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like he had his chance, and he didn't get it, so...
Because then you're asking for, probably another set of carries like he had last year, and that might be a lot to ask of Saquon to do back-to-back seasons. So, yeah.
Yeah, he could, but I think if you're the Eagles, you see if you can reduce his workload a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, he is, only getting older, so you want to make sure that he's pristine and ready to go as the years go on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Take that down. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we usually ended off with some little fun topic, and I felt like sports podcast. Madden released the cover. Cool cover. Why not? Also, the college football cover, pretty good as well. It was Ryan Williams and I can't remember the other dude who's the cover athlete, but I mean that game seems like it's going to be a fun one as well. So I know you play the college one as well.
My special ability in any sports game is just going nuts with the most random person. I always find like random niche like role players I'm really good with.
Mm-hmm.
So for years, like when for example, when we had MVP Rodgers, they would be like, "Oh, we're going to stop Aaron Jones. We're going to stop, Devontae Adams." Meanwhile, I'm just content throwing 10-yard checkdowns to a Mercedes Lewis all game. Like, no matter who you cover up, I will find somebody to use. Had somebody playing somebody in 2K and say Shea took I was the Thunder because he picked the Celtics. Shea took one shot all game, but he still ended up rage quitting because Cason Wallace, Lou Dort both had double digits. Yeah. Oh, and Jalen Williams, but not good Jalen Williams, like the backup center, Jason Williams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he had 4 threes. Say they all had 4 threes, so the guy just ended up quitting. That's what I love about sports games. Always get good with the rotation players because you never know when that comes in handy.
I agree. It's always good to force a good rage quit in a video game. I love that part as well. But yeah, so like I said, that's kind of all got for you. I guess Brett, anything you want to add before we get out of here? Let them know what you maybe got coming up.
Yeah, you can check us out on the Meaty Boys podcast where we'll be talking Money in the Bank predictions today. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to have a special video to open up the show. So, yeah, definitely tune in to check it out.
Yeah, there you go. If you guys are into wrestling, like I said, check out Meaty Boys. Money in the Bank is obviously a, kind of a big deal on the wrestling schedule because they'll set up a lot of things for, the next WrestleMania cycle and all that. So I'm sure you guys will be tuned in. I'll check it out as well to kind of hear kind of the updates on what's going on in wrestling.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. For me, I'll be back on here Friday. Passion and Precision with Jory, who was in the chat. Look, we have a lot of fun on there. You guys will have to tune in to see who makes our final burns lists. And yeah, other than that, I would say enjoy the games. Starting Thursday. Hopefully it's a good final series. Go check out some WNBA. I know Caitlin Clark's out for a couple of weeks, but the league is still playing games. Don't worry. Like they're still operating. And yeah, I guess anything else you guys getting into sports-wise, hopefully you enjoy it. So for myself, Brett, not guarding the 2, he's guarding the 3. We're going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you back here next week, 7 o'clock, for another edition of the On the Ball podcast. We're out of here. All right. Bye.